Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this week's edition of the LTT Podcast. My name is Brendan Plays. This, of course, is the show where we discuss all the latest in wrestling and answer your questions that you send in every single week on the Brendan Plays forums at brendanplays.com/forums, in the YouTube comment section down below by leaving a voicemail at brendanplays.com and clicking the green button on the right-hand side of the page, or by leaving a message on our Facebook page, Brendan Plays Official. What you're hearing in the background right now is the Bobby Roode theme song. He has debuted finally this week on NXT. I have been watching NXT a lot lately, and we'll cover a little bit of NXT later on today. We're going to talk about the Raw and Smackdown rivalry again, and we are now 2 weeks into the brand split, and we're going to kind of debrief a little bit, kind of analyze what's going on so far, what I like, what I don't like, and I think actually Smackdown had the win this week. Last week, definitely Raw won, but certainly SmackDown won this week. So majority of the show today, we're probably going to be covering SmackDown more so than Raw, because I think there's a lot more to talk about with SmackDown this week than Raw. But it's been an exciting week in terms of wrestling, no doubt about that. But I'm already kind of feeling, feeling a little jaded already. I mean, I've kind of been watching SmackDown a little bit here and there as of late, but, you know, I'm kind of more into it now, and more watching 3 hours of Raw, then next day straight away watching 2 hours of SmackDown. I guess, you know, originally it was 3 hours of Raw, then like a few days later, you know, you'd watch SmackDown, you'd watch NXT. Now it's straight bang after Raw, 3 hours of Raw, next day 2 hours of SmackDown, and then, you know, a couple of days later you got NXT, and it's kind of, you know, wow, it's a little overwhelming at the moment. I guess I kind of have to get used to it. Don't get me wrong, I like it. I'm actually really excited to watch SmackDown every week now. I think it's great to have SmackDown as its own separate brand, as its own show, something exciting to watch. Because I think, as we saw this week on Raw can be very, very bland. It's not much different to it. It's kind of the same type of format for such a long time. Yeah, they've made some subtle changes with the brand split, but it's still what we saw today, this week on Raw, I should say, was your standard Raw that you've seen. You know, it's a decent Raw that you've seen over the past year, you know, a couple of years. You know, not much to it, but there was a good few highlights, but, you know, nothing outstanding. That's what we kind of expected from Raw over the last few years, so they've kind of gone back to that already after 1 week. But SmackDown, on the other hand, they're doing some things different. Kind of giving some different guys some opportunities, kind of got some new, different talent coming along. It feels different, it feels fresh, it feels exciting, so SmackDown already has a big tick from me. So today on the show, we're going to talk all about SmackDown and Raw and continue the chat. In terms of me, not much going on. Back to college. Haven't actually done any work for college yet. That's going to come up in the next couple of weeks. Got some exams and things like that already. But it was good. I got a bit of a break away from the YouTube thing over the weekend. I spent probably, 4 or 5 days at my girlfriend's place. It was her birthday, so we did all that, which was good. It was a lot of fun. Actually, I've been actually doing a lot of Pokemon Go. I mean, a lot. I'm actually really getting back into the Pokemon. And, you know, I've been a big fan of Pokemon since I was a kid. Played the games on my Game Boy Color religiously. Then went to the Advance, DS, you name it. I played them all. I haven't played some of the new games, kind of dipped out a little bit after Pokemon Pearl, but I've been definitely loving it. So I've been playing a bit of Heart Gold lately. And obviously Pokemon Go, I'm actually having... You know, I've been going out at midnight and walking around a fucking park trying to catch Pokemon. I'm addicted. I'm not gonna lie. I've been playing it. I've been playing a lot. The problem that I've had is that there isn't really many areas around where I live that's any good. But we actually found an area, and we've been going there. When I was there at my girlfriend's place, it's about an hour and a half away from me now, so no way am I going to go there now. But you know, when I was there, it was a lot of fun because we would go there late at night. The best time to play Pokemon Go is like 3 a.m. in the morning because nobody is on the roads. Nobody is around. The best time is to drive around late at night. Nobody's fighting the gym. So someone who sucks like me, I can go into a gym, I can take the gym, I can fight it as many times as I need to, get all that XP, hold the gym, get some coins, because no one else is fighting. So I know I'm going to hold that gym for a couple of hours at least. So the best time to play it is late at night, because then if you see like a Pokestop coming up on the road, sometimes, you know, you can't really get there because you've got traffic there during the day. At midnight, you know, you'll be able to kind of pull up, drive slowly around a corner, make sure you get that stop, and carry on. So it's really a lot of fun. So we've been going out to all around town, like exploring, just finding Pokemon late night. It's been a lot of late nights, but it's been a lot of fun as well. So, I think I'm going to take a break from it though. Honestly, I think I'm a little bit Pokemon Go'd out. I think I got up to level 19 now. So I think I got a 1300 Vaporeon or something like that. So that was pretty cool. So I'm finally getting good at it, but I think I'm going to take a bit of a break for a couple weeks. I've got some vlogs coming up soon as well. I'm actually going to be going to the zoo in next week, I think. I'm going to be doing a few days. Going to be going away for a few days. So I think I might vlog that and show you guys the zoo. I haven't been to a zoo probably in about 10 years, honestly. So that'll be pretty cool to see some different animals. I think I have seen some tigers a couple of years ago, but haven't really seen much else. So that's going to be pretty cool. So that'll be coming up next week, probably on the weekend, actually. In terms of the videos this week as well, we got NXT TakeOver for my Universe mode. I think I might be live streaming that on the weekend, on Saturday or Sunday maybe. Probably Sunday at this point. What are we now? It's Thursday now. I still got to get Smackdown up. I've done half of Smackdown, so that'll be probably up tomorrow if I want to do it then. So then I'll probably need a day or two to kind of get NXT TakeOver sorted out. So that might take a day or two. So I'll aim for, I think, a Sunday stream. And I'm not sure what time. I'll keep you posted on my Twitter and my Facebook page when that will be. And, of course, the website as well. And speaking of the website, I put a new page up on the website this week as well for Universe Mode regarding the ratings. I think some people have been requesting some up-to-date ratings results between the two brands Raw and SmackDown. So there's a page up there now. I'll probably update it every now and then, and I'm going to show you guys the updated ratings results, how good each brand is going, what views each brand are getting every video, and things like that. So you can jump on there. You'll have a graph there. You have a few different things you can look at there to kind of get an easy-to-understand graphic on how each brand is going. I tell you right now, Raw is actually smashing SmackDown. I took the liberty to going ahead and recording all the data from the last for every episode. So just about 300 episodes of data I've recorded, excluding NXT. So, you know, take out all the NXT episodes. But a lot of episodes I've went ahead and recorded, and I've done every single episode leading up till now for Raw and SmackDown. And I found that, well, SmackDown's only won the ratings battles 5 out of 30 times. So I'm a little concerned by that. I mean, really no contest, isn't it? So I'm hoping with the new change and the new awareness about it all, you guys might jump on and help out SmackDown a little bit. And I think I might have to try and bump SmackDown a bit. You know, I noticed that every special event, every special show, it always falls on Raw. So it's been a little unfair on a lot of occasions. And Raw, obviously, generally, Raw always gets the next episode after a pay-per-view, which is obviously the most popular one. You know, most people are going to check that out after a big pay-per-view. So they always have that advantage there, and they always have the advantage generally of having the first episode of the new game and things like that. So Raw basically has so many different advantages over SmackDown, but, you know, I like to think SmackDown's the underdog, and SmackDown can fight through and still overcome that sometimes. But they've done it only 5 times, and I think probably 2 of them were very close. So, you know, I'll let you guys know more about that as we go on. So that's pretty exciting. And so I've been working on a few different projects, kind of expanding some of my graphics a little bit. I think today I pretty much spent most of the day, and last night as well, just kind of getting some graphics done for the channel and trying to just upgrade the production just a little bit, add a few different things here and there that will just make things a little bit better at times. So that's been the plan right now. Obviously going away for a few days, I don't think I was jaded, but, you know, I had to do 5 videos in a day to kind of get all the content ready so I could go away. So I kind of pushed myself to the limit there, but to go away for a few days and now come back, it's been a good refresher, and I think I'm back and I'm really ready to go, because I did Hell in a Cell pay-per-view last week as well, so that was a lot of effort and time to get through that. And then obviously once we get through that, you know, we've got to keep going on the other videos. So it's been a bit of a jading process. So like I said, getting away was pretty good. So we've got a lot of good content coming up. Couple of months to go until the new game. Obviously, we've got a lot of news videos to cover coming up soon. I always like to just cover the news regarding the roster. That's kind of the thing I care about the most. If there's a new game mode announced or something like that, I might talk about it. But some people kind of like, you know, oh, we spotted this shirt in the crowd, or we spotted, this guy has a pink shoelace on his shoe. Oh my, like, who gives a fuck? So some things, like, some people like to cover that, but for me, I just like to cover the main important stuff. And so you'll see some of those videos from me coming up. And that's not a dig at anyone, by the way. I'm just kind of generalizing. Some people cover every little bit of detail. That's what some people want, but that's just not what I really care about. But so I just wanted to give you guys a bit of an update what's going on. And like I said, probably next week we'll probably do a vlog, maybe even 2 vlogs. I think we have a lot of things planned, and I haven't really done like a traveling vlog because I don't really travel and go away or holiday all that much. So this is something cool that I'll be doing. I'll be going to an area I actually haven't been before, so I'll kind of showcase that. And I think it's always cool for you guys to get a bit of a different look at different countries. I know a lot of you guys not from Australia, so you'll get a bit of a look at what's around here. So that'd be pretty cool to see. And so we'll get into the Raw discussion now. I still like to do my own little opener. I like to talk about whatever the fuck I want. So that's the podcast. I want to talk about whatever I want to talk about, whether I want to talk about wrestling, whether I want to talk about sport, whatever. Whatever it may be, I'm going to talk about what I want. That's why I haven't called it the wrestling show or the wrestling podcast, something like that, because I don't want it just to be wrestling. It's whatever I want to talk about. So it's just to do with me. But we cover a lot of wrestling because that's what you guys want to know. You want to hear my thoughts and opinions on wrestling. You guys know the format. It's been 116 episodes or something like that. We've been doing it for a long time, so we're going to keep going. And by the way, yes, we celebrated 300 episodes of Universe Mode this week, so that was a really crazy achievement. I hope that was actually episode 300. If it's not, it's pretty close, because I'm hoping my math was right. I counted it, I think, a month ago. I've had it in my calendar for a while. That's coming up, so yeah, that was cool. So real big thanks to everyone that's been supporting Universe Mode for 300 episodes. Still doing well. I'm still really enjoying it. Even after all these years later, I'm still as passionate as I was in the beginning. I think I'm even more passionate about it now than in the beginning. I love it. So we got a lot of cool stuff planned for that coming up. But anyways, Monday Night Raw. Like I said, I thought Raw was the second best show of the week between SmackDown and Raw. Raw definitely was very good last week, no doubt about that. SmackDown was had the potential. We talked about that last week. But certainly this week on Raw, it just fell a little bit flat. I think Raw benefited last week, obviously, from the hype, having a number of different major matches and some excitement around it, some debuts and some title matches and things like that. They tried to replicate it a little bit with a title match between Rusev and Mark Henry, which was always never going to live up to anything, really. We always knew Rusev was going to win. So they tried to put a title match on there to get a bit of hype around it. Didn't really work. They tried to have a couple of big matches on the show. Just didn't really get the excitement that, the crowd was pretty good, though. The crowd was pretty good, if I recall. The SmackDown crowd, not so good, but the Raw crowd was pretty good. What I did like, though, is the mixed tag team match at the beginning. Now, that's something we haven't seen in a long time, like a mixed tag match. Probably at least a couple of years. I don't recall. Maybe they've had some on main events or Superstars or SmackDown I've missed, but I haven't seen a mixed tag in WWE for quite some time. So that was a nice refresher, and it was a little odd that Enzo came out for Sasha, Chris Jericho came out for Charlotte, but they've really had no interactions with one another at all. But in the end, it was good. Jericho and Enzo was good back and forth on the mic. I really enjoyed that. I think Enzo's mic work is probably one of, if not the best right now in the WWE. He's on fire. He's doing very, very well. And it's going to show that he doesn't necessarily need Big Cass there with him to succeed. And it's good, I think, they're giving him this opportunity to kind of break out a little bit on his own as well as with Cass. Because I've seen the last couple of months when Enzo got injured, it was all about Big Cass. He was getting all the wins, he was getting the pins, he still does, he gets all the pins. He comes out there, clears house, and Enzo, just kind of the sidekick, says a few things on the mic, but doesn't really get the attention that he deserves. But this was a good showcase for him, a good chance to kind of show us what he can do, and his interaction with Sasha Banks was okay. Is it going to lead to a love angle with them? I don't think so. I think it was just something just to do, to give a purpose for a match, give a reason for them to team up. I think it was just to have a good opening match, and it worked. It was a good opener. Charlotte pinning Sasha, fair enough. That gives them a chance to kind of continue to build up to SummerSlam and give Charlotte win back and makes her look good before the big title match. I don't know if it's going to lead to a feud between Jericho and Enzo. I don't think so. I don't know. You never know. But nonetheless, it was good. I enjoyed it. Something different. And that's what we need. Something a little bit different. So that was good. Braun Strowman continues to beat up some local guys, dismantling another guy this week. You know, some people think it's boring. Honestly, I think it's fine. I think it's fine. Have him destroy some local guys. You know, I wouldn't mind him beating some names, you know, some indie guys that aren't signed to the WWE, rather than some just guys who I could even beat up, let's be honest. So, yeah, I wouldn't mind him not beating up the guys on the Raw roster, but beating up some guys who look the part in the next, you know, for now, that's fine. You know, beat up these guys, make him look like an absolute monster. But, you know, have him beat some guys who look the part. Doesn't have to be on Raw. These guys don't have to be on Raw. Just have them, you know, hire a guy for the night who, you know, 6'3" and, you know, 220, you know, whatever, looks the part. He can come out there and, you know, obviously Braun's going to outsize him, but you can still kind of say, all right, this guy looks okay, he looks respectable, and Braun Strowman beats him, then so be it. You know, that's fair enough. But him beating up these, you know, these very small guys isn't going to really benefit him in the long run. So for now, it's fine. But as time goes on, let's change that up a little bit and tweak that a little bit. So, and eventually, it's a bit of like the Ryback push at the moment, isn't it? That Ryback got originally. And Ryback was beating up the local competitors, doing the double shell shock, just destroying these guys. So that's cool. But eventually, Ryback had to take on some guys on the roster. And that's where, you know, he needed to start beating some guys there. And he did that, but it took a long time for him to get there. And that slow build-up was going very well, but obviously they've ruined that in the end. So Braun Strowman, a slow build, I think could be a good thing for him. Don't rush things. I know he's a monster. This guy could be the next, you know, incarnation of a Big Show or a Kane in their eyes. This guy could be that. He's got a huge size to him. He's an absolute monster of a man. So let's not rush things just yet. Let's just keep things slow. Let's keep the faith in the guy. Let's give him a chance, because I think his in-ring work needs a lot of work still. His theme song, the Braun at the start, is a bit crazy, but I think so far it's, you know, he's certainly got the size and he certainly looks the part. So we'll give him a chance. I also noticed in this week's Raw, it was truly apparent, like, it's just so obvious that this was a third hour curse. And I've been talking about the third hour so much. But again, I've got to bring it up. We had like an hour of Raw that we could have taken out. You know, the reason why I like SmackDown so much this week is because it's 2 hours to the point. There was probably only 1 or 2 segments that I didn't like on SmackDown, but I can forgive them for that. For the rest of the show, it was pretty good. Whereas on Raw, I just felt like, you know, there's just a lot of shit here that doesn't need to be here. Like, for example, I get it, you know, they're kind of cashing on the Pokemon Go thing, but R-Truth running around, trying to get the Pokemon, I get it, it's like the comedy relief of the show, but still, it doesn't really add much to the show. It's a bit of filler, doesn't really have much direction, no storyline really behind it. So, yeah, I feel like a bit of a waste of time. So, again, Raw is going to continue to suffer. And this is why I always think SmackDown's going to be the best show going forward, because I think SmackDown, 2 hours to the point, can be way better and just more action-packed, to the point. Storylines, you know, we can just focus on them. We don't have to cram in an extra hour just to, you know, make up the time. So I think it's going to be much more beneficial for that, I should say, for that reason. So I think SmackDown is going to always benefit from that 2 hours, and Raw, just that 1 extra hour, always comes back to bite. I mean, Raw can have a really good show, but still 3 hours is a long time to have a very good show. Just imagine if they cut that back. Even if they cut it to 2.5 hours, they'd still nearly strike gold, a lot more than they do, because they have a lot of good segments on Raw. I keep saying SmackDown. On Raw a number of times, but then you just kind of get, you know, stuffed in there with some crap that, you know, you don't really need to see. So they took out a lot of the crap, but then you find that the show might be 2 hours of, you know, good stuff. So that's always going to be an issue that Raw has. Jinder Mahal is back. a return. Not the best return in the world. Coming out there teasing is going to be with Heath Slater join up with 2MB. Then Mick Foley makes the match, and Jinder Mahal turns on him quickly and pins him and gets the contract. It was kind of funny in a way, but again, Jinder Mahal, who's really excited to see this guy back? Honestly, like, this guy just was nothing, just absolutely nothing. I just can't get behind him at all. Honestly, I don't know how much he's getting paid. I guess he's still in the WWE's good books. I don't think he's going to get a push. I don't think he's going to be much. I think he's just going to be, someone to kind of fill in a spot in a roster, do his part on the show, just be there, just be part of the roster and do the jobs when he needs to and whatever. I don't think he's going to get a run at the belt or anything like that. I just think he's going to be that low mid-card guy, and probably take the pin and make some guys look good. I don't see him really going all that far because they've given him the ball in the past and he's kind of really dropped it, broke it, never going to pick it up again, so I can't see them really doing much with him at all. Really, the main highlight of the show was the ending, Randy Orton interfering, hitting the RKO and Brock Lesnar. That was really perfectly done, in my opinion, because I like the interference feel. Because if they had hit his music, he came out, ran into the ring, it just wouldn't feel the same. But they added that element of, this guy's not meant to be here, they got the security guards out there trying to get him the hell out of there. That element really made the angle very, very good and a bit more realistic. Yeah, we know he's sitting in the back the whole time, but let's ignore that. And he came through the crowd, he came out, hit the RKO, and got the hell out of there and posed up the top with the fans. Security guards couldn't do anything about it. I think it was cool. I really liked it. And obviously Brock Lesnar hit back and did something similar on Smackdown, which I'm surprised he did that, actually. I thought they wouldn't waste an appearance there, but I'm really liking what they're doing with Orton Lesnar so far. The build-up is looking good. They haven't really, talked too much about, any kind of personal issues between each other, but it's mainly just like Brock Lesnar's back. He's the greatest, and Randy's just trying to prove that he's still God and can beat him. So it's simple. There's not much personal animosity between the two, but getting each other back and forth, I think it's going to create a bit of chaos and a bit of mayhem on the show. We don't know is Randy going to show up here on Raw this week. Raw might come out and have the security there again. So keeping you on your toes a little bit, and that's something that's adds that excitement to the show. Is he going to show up tonight? Is he going to appear? I think that's something that we can look forward to. So overall, Raw, it just was a decent show. It wasn't bad at all. Don't get me wrong, I don't think it was bad. Just your standard type of Raw, a standard okay Raw. Nothing really memorable too much about it, except for like the final segment and the mixed tag as well. I think was pretty good. So a couple highlights, but certainly SmackDown was the better show this week, and obviously Dolph Ziggler. Wow. A lot of people have been very critical about Dolph Ziggler's promos ability, but I've seen him cut some really good promos, and I'm thinking to myself, where is this coming from? Like, why do people think Ziggler is really bad on the mic? Because I've always seen Ziggler as, this guy, he's got some intensity, he's got some passion behind it. I think he can really deliver a good promo. And he showed that on SmackDown. Really good passion, really good intensity, obviously screaming, that kind of like typical screaming promo, but it worked. Him and Ambrose somehow have got me super excited. I actually believe Dolph Ziggler's a chance to win. On the contrary, I think Finn Balor's going to win the Universal Championship on Raw. I don't think they're going to give it to Seth Rollins. I think this is the perfect time just to give it to Balor. Give it to Balor, make him the top guy right now. And instantly you establish him as the top guy, boom. You got a new star on Raw. It's just like that. Ziggler, I think he's half a chance to win. I think Ambrose has been okay as a champion thus far. I think he could be better. But I think he kind of showed a bit of a different side of his character this week. A bit of a heelish, dickish side of his character this week. And I think that was a little interesting. I thought Ziggler would be the one to perhaps do that type of thing. But Ziggler was playing the super baby face. Like, I'm trying to overcome this, blah, blah, blah. And, I need to prove to everyone that I deserve the respect of the fans. I need to earn that back, blah, 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 blah. He was, being the super baby face. And Ambrose has been a bit of a dick to Ziggler So that was a little bit interesting to see a different side of Ambrose, but I think it was good. I think it worked well. They really had a good interaction between one another, and that's a rivalry that's starting to heat up a bit. A lot of potential there, and a lot of excitement there. I think a lot of people came away from that Smackdown episode really kind of amped up for that match. I think it's going to be a great match. I think it's a great time for Ziggler to prove that he can be a main event guy once and for all. Obviously I think AJ Styles and John Cena does overshadow the star power immensely of that match, but still, the championship is on the line. Someone different's getting a shot. I think it's exciting. I think SummerSlam, like I said last week, is shaping up to be a pretty damn good show. So I think Ziggler will deliver. It's good to see Ziggler's got a bit more motivation behind him. I felt Ziggler the last 6 months just kind of being phoning it in, going through the motions. I mean, did a pretty lackluster feud with Baron Corbin. Really no direction. Yes, it was pretty poor booking just to pluck him out of nowhere and give him this match. But now I think the fans can slowly get behind him again. And, if he does lose, I think it'll be hard to keep the trust in Ziggler and the faith in him. But can you really give him the belt after the booking that he's had? That will be very tough to do. I don't think they've done enough as of yet to give him that, but look, he got a win over Bray Wyatt on SmackDown this week, and obviously it seems as though the next week we're going to have Eric Rowan and Bray team up to take on Ambrose and Ziggler. And another thing there is, I like the fact they're already building towards next week. I like that. We know what to expect next week, so a bit of continuity there, like a bit of carryover into the next show. So next week we know, alright, let's see Ziggler and Ambrose get their revenge on the Wyatts. This is going to be cool. So I like that. Raw quite often doesn't do that. It just kind of do something, have a match at the end, and go off the air. But now they had a lot of beatdowns this week, didn't they? And on SmackDown, a lot of after match stuff. So sometimes, I don't think it was that bad at all. I mean, I think Baron Corbin laid everyone out as well, and so we got a bit of an idea of what to expect next show as well, and that's something we haven't really had for a long time. We tune into SmackDown and Raw these days, and we have no idea at all what the fuck is going down, unless we check out social media and they announce a match or something like that. You got no idea what matches are happening. They don't do anything in advance, so to kind of have a bit of an idea into what's going to happen in probably the next week's main event, I think it's cool. So I think that'll be a good match as well. I think Bray and Ziggler was a phenomenal match as well. Really, really good. Bray Wyatt, I think, he's got to break out here on SmackDown as a top heel again. I think he's got a real good chance to do that. I'm really liking his direction so far. I'm really liking what he's been doing. I think Bray Wyatt deserves a run at the championship sometime soon. I think it's about time that he gets that and gets that solidification as a top-tier name, a top-tier player on SmackDown. And now he has two championships. You could certainly do that. And that's the thing. 2 titles, they can take some risks. Obviously, if things aren't going that well, he can fall back on the other champion. Dean Ambrose might be a bit more of a safer choice. Finn Balor, on the other hand, he might be taking that risk with Finn Balor. Or vice versa. Seth Rollins, a safe choice. Take the risk on Dolph Ziggler. Something like that, just spice things up a little bit and have some different people hold the championship. I mean, it's been a while since Ziggler was champion. Maybe, Balor's never held a world title, so a few different things we can look forward to. But, some good signs to SmackDown, no doubt about that. Obviously, this week as well, Daniel Bryan kind of spilled the beans a little bit. Some rumors now that they're going to add in a women's championship and a tag team championship to SmackDown. Look, I'm not a big fan of the women's championship being added. I think there's only really room for one title. I don't think there's enough women on both brands to really carry a title each. I think that's a bit of a mistake. And I don't think there's enough interest to have a women's title on both shows. I would have had the women's division just on one show. The women on SmackDown, preferably I would have had the women on Raw and the cruiserweights on SmackDown. That's what I would have done. But doing it on both brands, I guess they want to kind of keep branching out with the whole new era of the women or whatever they call Divas Revolution. That's what they call it. They expanding there. So I guess that's what they want to try and do. So I don't think they'll bring back the butterfly belt. I think there'll be a different title belt. I think the butterfly belt is well and truly gone. So let's just bring something else out. But they said they want to take their time and wait for the right moment, which is good. I'm glad they're not just going to, here's a new belt, with no real direction behind it. So if that is the actual truth, and they're not just, oh shit, we don't know what the fuck we're doing, and there is some truth behind that, well then that's fair enough. The tag team titles, I don't mind that. I think there's probably enough tag teams, and you could also throw together two guys as a tag team and kind of do something there. And you never know, sometimes you throw two guys together as a tag team, it works. And you give something for your tag team guys to do. So it's something for your lower guys to do as well and compete for. Because you can't really have tag teams going on your show and really no titles to go after. It doesn't really make too much sense. So I'm happy they're bringing back another tag team titles again. And I'd be happy they get rid of the stupid design that they have now. I'd be glad that SmackDown gets a new design and a tag title that doesn't look atrocious. So the copper belts are just awful. They've got to go. They are really, really bad. But I'm not too phased behind that. But like I said, I really thought the women should be on one brand, and I would have had the cruiserweights if they're going to do the cruiserweight division on another. But I guess that's not the case. The only real issue I had with SmackDown this week was the Eva Marie segment. She came out, and I'm pretty sure, 100% sure this is the storyline, but she came out, tweaked a hamstring or something like that, did her hammy, and, the match was called off. It was just a complete fucking waste of time. I get it, kind of prolongs a character a little bit, like, oh, I'm so great. The music, the entrance she's got, it's just such a heel thing to have. Like, it's just like, oh my god, so over the top. So I like the entrance, but yeah, her not having a match was probably a good thing for us, honestly, as viewers. I think it might have been even worse if she actually had the match. But I was actually interested to see how she would go in the ring. So I actually wanted to see how she would go against Becky Lynch, and if she could put on a good match here on SmackDown for once. I was interested, but it didn't happen, obviously. Instead, she did a hamstring, apparently, and, couldn't compete. So, well, I guess we can be grateful in some ways, but I was a little interested to see how she would go as well. Another highlight of SmackDown, we've had some good promos this week. John Cena and AJ Styles, a good back and forth there, a good build to their SummerSlam match now. I think we all knew that was coming, but I would have liked a stipulation towards that match. I feel like, maybe an I Quit match and a Last Man Standing match, something like that. John Cena kind of talking about, I don't want to be anywhere but the WWE. I love the WWE. Daniel Bryan actually doing a bit of a shoot on Talking Smack, which I like the name, by the way. Talking Smack, obviously taking a little bit from Talking Dead and Talking Bad and talking all like that. So I like the name Talking Smack. So yeah, Daniel Bryan, anyways, he kind of basically said, oh, I took offense to him saying he'd only wrestle in the WWE. Why not wrestle elsewhere? If he couldn't wrestle in WWE, he wouldn't wrestle anywhere else. He should be wanting to wrestle elsewhere. Blah, blah, blah. Go check out the clip if you want. But, that was interesting. That was interesting to see his take on that and his honesty towards that as well. So it's good to see that even on TV, he was willing to kind of be honest there and, not be afraid to kind of kiss ass to John Cena. So obviously Daniel Bryan and John Cena are very close, as you know, and I don't think there's anything really there between them, so that's fine. But so that was interesting. But again, AJ Styles, John Cena, that should be a big match. I really believe AJ Styles may win. Now, you might call me crazy, but I think John Cena, since the rumor is that he might be taking some more time off, I think later this year, if he's going to take more time off, why not put AJ Styles over there? What's the sense in having Cena win? Because if Cena's going to take a month or two off, well, then you're stuck because you don't have the momentum behind AJ Styles. And plus, AJ Styles is a heel. They only have 2 top-level heels on the show. They've got Ambrose. Now they have Ziggler. They've got Randy Orton there as well as the top baby faces. They need to establish some heels there. And if AJ Styles can beat John Cena, well then then you can open up a few more different things. Styles versus Ambrose for the title, Styles versus Randy Orton, Styles versus Dolph Ziggler. You open that window up a little bit more as well for AJ Styles. But if Styles loses, well then what? Styles, he's not going to go for the title because he just lost to Cena. And the only thing Cena's got to do is Cena versus Bray Wyatt. And we've seen that. Unless they want to try and elevate Baron Corbin, Cena versus Baron Corbin, there's no fucking way Baron Corbin's going to beat John Cena, so he'll probably get the Rusev treatment. So I don't know what they're going to do with John Cena going forward, and that's the thing. They need to establish a few different heels at the top. So no better time to get AJ Styles cemented as a top-tier heel than now. So have him beat Cena, move on from the John Cena feud. It's not going to hurt Cena at all. He's just got done hosting all these different shows. He's doing all these other things. Why not give it to AJ, give him the win, and then you've got a top heel in your hands. And then you can move on to AJ versus Ambrose for the belt, or Ziggler, whoever's a champ, and go from there. And I think that would be a much better decision. But knowing WWE, Cena wins. So, what can you do? I like the Lesnar invasion. I would have liked Brock Lesnar to beat up some security guards, though. I think him just coming out, hitting Orton, was cool. It was cool, but I was just hoping he would come out there and, beat the shit out of, like 10 guards and make him look like an absolute beast. But whatever. Beat Orton up and walked out, did what he wanted to do, so fair enough. But an appearance, wasted, I guess, maybe. It furthers the storyline. Orton's got one up on Lesnar. Lesnar's got one up on Orton, so now they're equal, one each. What's going to happen next? And that's where you got to tune into Raw to find out next. That's where it's exciting. So I think that was cool. I was actually surprised. I thought they were going to tease it, and it wasn't going to happen. I was actually surprised that he did show up, so that was a welcome surprise. We also had the debut of American Alpha, my new favorite tag team. They've been my new favorite tag team for a few months now. Obviously, not many tag teams going around to really get excited about, but American Alpha are very, very awesome, and I've been really enjoying them since I've been seeing them in NXT for probably the last 6 months or so. I think I've been keeping an eye on them in NXT. They have been very, very good, and now they deserve to be on SmackDown. They were a lot of fun, really, really good. The Vaudevillains are all but done, by the way. They, unfortunately, have got a little bit of the Ascension treatment, a 3-week push, lose. Now they lose every match. So, unfortunately, if you're a Vaudevillains fan, it's not looking good at all. American Alpha has gone ahead of them already, and American Alpha I could see being the first tag team champions on SmackDown, and I think that would be very good, very exciting. Heath Slater, the storyline continues on Raw and on the SmackDown. Now he's got a match next week against Rhino to try and get a contract. Rhino's spearing the living shit out of Slater, so I think Rhino's going to win that. I don't know what the storyline or where they're headed there with Slater. I think they posted something on the website that he's even in discussions with Evolve. So they're kind of like trying to make it a little bit more realistic, like he's talking to Evolve. Evolve was tweeting some things out about it. So that was pretty cool. Obviously, WWE has an affiliation with Evolve, I believe. So that was pretty cool. They're kind of adding a bit more realism to it. So I like that. I wouldn't mind him actually going there and wrestling a couple matches there to kind of, like, oh, look, I won all these matches at Evolve. You should sign me. I've been doing so well. I wouldn't mind that. I would not mind that at all. But I don't know what the long-term future is. But it is a cool little storyline for Heath Slater. Something for him to do. And I guess it feels like, since Damien Sandow's gone, we haven't got the comedy kind of person there. Heath Slater kind of taken over that role a little bit. One thing I really, really liked was Apollo Crews becoming number 1 contender for the Intercontinental Championship. Well deserved. I've been a big fan of Apollo Crews since he came to NXT. Really, really excited for this guy. I really believe he could be a top name. I really believe he could be a big babyface on SmackDown, and I'm glad he's getting a chance at The Miz. I think he should win the belt. I think he's got to win the belt. The Miz, him as champion has kind of been played out. We've seen it enough. I think I like The Miz's gimmick, but he's not really wrestling all that much. He's mainly just doing the talk show stuff again, the guest commentary roles, which suits his character, don't get me wrong, but I wouldn't mind having a few more matches for the IC Championship and having better matches for the IC Championship. Certainly now on SmackDown, they kind of need that. So I think Apollo Crews would be a perfect fit for the champion championship, and I think it would establish Apollo Crews as an emerging star. I think Apollo Crews could really be something for SmackDown going forward, and I think giving him the championship would be the right call. I think Apollo Crews might not be a main event star anytime soon, but I think he has all the potential to take that next leap, and you could start to establish him there and build towards that next level leap there. And I think they've got a bit of faith now in Apollo Crews. They had to wait some time. He had to lose some matches. His win-loss record has been, like 60% for the last couple of months. Not that great, but, I think he's starting to... Finally, it looks as though he's going to get that push. And finally, different backstage interview look. They're doing, like, the backstage studio stuff with Renee Young rather than, like, the backstage interview they do. I like that. It's a different change. It looks cool. It's different. And that's what it needs to happen. SmackDown and Raw have to be different to one another. And SmackDown, so even doing backstage stuff is different, and I like that, and I think that's a good addition. And it suits Renee Young as we see her in that studio host type role all the time. So, why not do that for backstage interviews? And she did a lot of them throughout SmackDown, and they have been doing a lot of those interviews, by the way. I hate the in-ring interviews. I think they suck. The straight after match interviews, they suck. But the backstage interviews, they're fine. So I think that was pretty cool and a good little change. So that's SmackDown. Like I said, really enjoyed SmackDown this week. It gets the win from me. So what is that? A win apiece right now between the two brands. We'll keep a bit of a count. I'll probably lose count in about 2 or 3 weeks. But you guys can keep count at home. Let me know in the comments below which show was your favorite, Raw or SmackDown. Now we'll move on to NXT. I've got a few things I want to chat about NXT this week. Bobby Roode is the first one. He debuted this week on NXT. Finally, we've been teasing it. Roode's here. Looked as though he's going to be a babyface to begin with, and then he turned into a heel promo. Pretty good promo. I enjoyed it. The theme song, I really loved his TNA theme, but you can see, obviously they can't use the TNA theme, but you can see a few different elements of that into his new one, the Glorious. So that's his new kind of name, I guess. They use the It Factor still, so they might be still using that, but obviously Glorious Bobby Roode might be the direction they're taking. They might probably try and put that on his merchandise and things like that, so that's fair enough. Straight away, they've already got like a catchphrase kind of thing for him, so he can market himself with that. So that's why WWE is so good at selling t-shirts, because in the first night, they've already probably got a t-shirt ready for him that says Glorious, and people will buy it. So, I think Bobby Roode is a bit of a replacement for some of the NXT guys going up, and that will go up soon. I think you'll find he'll be in a similar type role to Samoa Joe. Not sure if he'll be a champion, but I think he'll be feuding for the championship for a long time. I'm not sure if he'll make the main roster, but I think he'll definitely feud with some of the younger guys, help them get some experience there, help them get better, and that's perfectly fine. He doesn't have to be the champion, doesn't have to go to Raw, SmackDown and become world champion, as much as I would love him to do so, because Bobby Roode's been he's my favorite TNA guy for ever since I started watching TNA. Out of the TNA people, the TNA originals, the TNA talent, Bobby Roode was always my favorite. Certainly when I was watching week to week for a few months there, back in like 2012, when I actually was starting to get into the product a bit, Bobby Roode was always my guy. He was the man, not AJ Styles. I tell you what, I never really liked AJ Styles that much. I like him now, but in TNA, I was back and forth. Well, not the biggest fan, but I always liked Bobby Roode, so I was so happy to see him in NXT, and I think he's going to do great. I watched last week's NXT as well. I think Kota Ibushi had a match there, so that's interesting. They had a couple of the Cruiserweight Classic guys on NXT as well. I think they had a different one. I can't remember his name. The guy with the long hair, the Samoan guy. He had a match on NXT, so that's pretty interesting that they're kind of bringing them in a little bit as well. I think it's good. And exciting. So some different matchups there. The thing about NXT is that like every week you see someone different that I don't even never seen before. Like obviously they have so many guys in the developmental center, performance center, I should say, kind of down there, and they can bring up someone, have a match, get beaten up, and put someone over. But it's somewhat different. You're always getting like a different look. Whereas on Raw and SmackDown, always having like the same people. They never really bring people in for a night. Independent guy, a local guy, bring him in for a night, have him have a match. They don't do that too much. Obviously with the enhancement stuff, they have been lately, but like a legitimate opponent, So I wouldn't mind them doing a little bit more of that, because it spices it up. Because like, oh, what's this? Who's this guy? What's he all about? And obviously with NXT, these guys aren't really ready to be brought up to the main the NXT roster full time. But you get a bit of a sneak peek at them. You can you see them every few months. You see a bit more of a progression and development from them. And I think it's a good thing, and you can kind of keep tabs on them and check in with how they're going. I think that's good, and obviously for the talent, it's great because they get that little bit of exposure here and there. And when they've done the work behind the scenes, they can get another opportunity. So I think that's exciting. Hideo Itami's back. Did anyone forget about this guy? I think I forgot about him for the longest time, but he's back. He is back, and look, Hideo Itami back in NXT is a big thing right now, because now, obviously, they are lacking a bit of star power a bit. I think Itami will still get that push that he looked as though he was going to get before the injury, so I wouldn't be too worried there. I think we all kind of want to see him have a feud with Nakamura. I think that's a given. I think that would be pretty exciting, but a lot to like about Hideo Itami. Will he be the same? A lot of rumours going around that he won't be the same now after this injury, but I think he looked okay in his first match back on TV. I think he's had some house show matches, but yeah, so I think he'll slowly get back into it, and eventually, in probably a few months' time, he might be starting to headline some NXT events again, so look out for him. And finally, NXT Brooklyn will be headlined by Samoa Joe and Shinsuke Nakamura for the NXT Championship. What a match that's going to be. That's just simply great. Great headliner, makes sense. I'll be watching just to see that match. That is going to be a lot of fun, and that should be good. So that's my little NXT mini wrap up. We haven't talked much about NXT lately, but I thought I'd chime in a little bit there about a few different things that's been happening. The rest of NXT shows, not really all that much to kind of talk about, but those are the main points I wanted to kind of discuss. A little piece of news this week: Lillian Garcia gone from the WWE, leaving to kind of be with her dad, I believe it was, who's got cancer, I think. I read it a few days ago, so it's kind of passed my mind. So I think that's what it was. I could be wrong, but I think that's what it was. But yeah, so I respect her for going away and doing that, so that's fair enough. She was great. She had a long service in the WWE. I heard that she's a very nice woman. No one's got anything really mean to say about her, so she's been a good servant of the company, and she was a pretty decent announcer. The announcers they have now, JoJo, I think is awful. The guy announcer, I don't know his name. I think he's okay. The one they got now at NXT as well just sucks. The women announcers really struggle because they don't have the power of their voices sometimes to kind of really emphasize the names. So Lillian Garcia, though, she was pretty good. She had it down packed, and I think she was one of the better ones I've heard anyways. Yes, she could stuff up a lot, but she's been around for a while, but she certainly did a great service to the WWE, so she'll be missed. Cody Rhodes' wife, Eden Styles, she was pretty good, so it was a shame they lost her. She was starting to get pretty good, but like I said, JoJo, I don't think she's very good at all. So they are lacking a little bit with the announcements. Justin Roberts was great. I don't know why they let him go. I thought he was great, so they have struggled a little bit with the announcers. Like the commentators are an issue, the announcers are an issue, so they've got a few different things they weren't got to worry about. And finally, good old ZZ from Tough Enough. He's gone. Release. See you later. Goodbye. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. Who's honestly surprised that he got released? I mean, the work ethic of the guy clearly wasn't there. I always said from the get-go, this guy just wanted to be on reality TV. This guy did not want to be a wrestler. This guy just wanted to get a payday, just wanted to get himself out on TV. He's been on other different reality TVs in the past, TV shows. So when it came to actually, oh shit, I actually have to start working out, I actually have to run the ropes, I've got to learn how to wrestle. I mean, holy shit, am I actually going to be able to do this? I would be shocked. It'd just be a massive surprise if he went ahead and wrestled on the independents. He continued the training. I would be shocked. I don't think we'll ever hear from this guy again in terms of wrestling. I think he's gone, done. He'll go and get a job somewhere else or try and get a job on TV somewhere else. But we will not be seeing any more of ZZ. And honestly, who gives a fuck? But anyways, that's my recap of the shows this week, my opinions. A lot of just kind of breaking down the shows this week. But we do have some questions that we want to discuss this week as well. Some voicemails as well. So we'll get into some of those before we head on out of here.
Hi, Brendan. When do you think Goldust should retire in the WWE? When do you think he should retire, and when do you think he actually will retire? And how would you do this? Would you do a storyline? Because he's been there a long time, he surely deserves something. Cheers.
Look, I think Goldust is certainly coming towards the end of his career. I think this Golden Truth Tag Team has kept his career going a little bit longer, but I think it's basically coming apparent that he's not really needed that much anymore. I think they've really kind of moved on from him. It's the same with Henry and Kane and Big Show. They're not really focusing on these old guys anymore, really starting to focus on the younger guys. But, that being said, Goldust has a place. R-Truth has a place. The Golden Truth still is a decent tag team. They know they can get the crowd pumped up a little bit during the entrance, and they can be funny and whatever. So, the thing he's doing now is perfectly fine. So I don't think there's any real need to kind of push him out the door as of yet. But in saying that, I think he's probably only got another year or two left. I think he's getting to the point where his body will, probably give out on him. He's nearly 50 years old, I believe. He's certainly up there in age. So I don't think he's got too much time left. But I think what he's doing right now is fine. But I think you'll find that it'll probably be sooner rather than later that, he calls it a day. Especially now Cody's gone as well. He might look to do other things eventually. He might look to try and transition into a trainer or an agent or some kind of role backstage. I think they'll probably give him a job, honestly. I think, obviously, the Dusty factor, they love Dusty so much. I think they always kind of welcome Goldust and Cody Rhodes back with welcome arms. So I think Goldust, he's turned his life around. He's done really great for himself for the last few years. So I think it's been great that he's been given this last extended run, so I think it's cool. But I think him just kind of being putting over the younger guys and working with them is a good role from him. So I don't think he'll be pushed out the door anytime soon. But in saying that, I don't think he has all that much time really left. So next question comes from Thomas Speller. Did you think the New Day would get over as much as they have? And where do you rank them in order of the greatest factions of all time? Now, I don't think they're the greatest factions of all time, but or anywhere near that top list, but I think they've been a very good team the last year. I think it's been a saving grace for WWE. At sometimes, they've certainly been one of the most entertaining acts of the show. I think they've certainly helped keep the brand going a little bit when things have been pretty rough. The last year, WWE was pretty rough, and they were a bit of a shining light. Some weeks, they're pretty bad, but other weeks, they're pretty funny. So, they're pretty entertaining. The act is getting a little bit stale now. How long would I keep them a team for? Look, I can't imagine them not being a team at the moment. I think they are, they should stay as a team for the time being. I wouldn't break that up. They're still doing merch. They're still doing well, so keep that going. But I guess, did I ever think they would be this successful? Hell no. When they first came out, I thought it was the worst thing I've ever seen, and they turned that all around, thank goodness. But yeah, I don't think they're the greatest team of all time, but I think it's been a good story, a good turnaround, and they've had to really fight for that role, and they've done very well for themselves. So certainly last few years, they probably have been one of the better teams in the last few years, or better factions in the last few years. Next question comes from Admo Dallas Forville? Yeah. For Val. Until what pay-per-view are you going to do Universe Mode on W2K16 before W2K17 comes out? So I'm going to stop at the TLC pay-per-view. I'm going to do TLC, and then the first episode of 2K17 will be the first episode of Raw heading in towards the Royal Rumble. I think that's a good time for me to stop. That obviously gives us a chance to utilize all the different superstars that'll be in W2K17 for the Royal Rumble, all the different legends that'll be available, so we'll have their proper versions there. So instead of having, a shitty Apollo Crews, for example, we'll have a better one, a legitimate one. So things like that, I think it'll be cool to kind of make the Royal Rumble feel a little bit better this year. And obviously the first pay-per-view of the series being the Royal Rumble, I think that's pretty fucking cool. So I think that's going to be pretty exciting. So I like that, and I think it's just a new year. I think it's a good time to kind of start. And, previous times we've kind of started at a random time. 2K16, we started after WrestleMania, which I think was a little bit difficult for some people to kind of jump on board. I thought it'd be a lot easier. We started with like the draft I thought that would be easier, but I guess some people kind of a little overwhelmed. A lot of things happen on WrestleMania. I think it'd be pretty easy to kind of jump in on here after the Royal Rumble, before the Royal Rumble, I think. So I think it'd be pretty easy. I think it's a good time. So that's the plan, which will probably mean that we might have 3 or 4 weeks maybe without Universe Mode. I'm not sure what I'll be doing there. Probably just hearing bits and pieces here and there, playing some other stuff. But I think it'll be a good break for me for Universe Mode. We can kind of hit back and really come up strong. I think it'll probably only be 2 or 3 weeks at the most, honestly. But I think it's a break that the series definitely needs. And I think everyone can kind of catch up and get ready for the new season. Because I tell you what, 2K17 is going to be massive. I am going absolutely all out this year. I've got a new computer, got my own house, absolutely no excuses. Like, I'm going to be doing Universe Mode, Career Mode every damn day for as long as I can physically do it for. It's going to be off the charts. So keep an eye out for that. I'm going to be really going crazy. So it should be a good year. Thomas Speller, what are your thoughts on fighting in the crowd returning in W2K17? And will I be using it? Hell yes, I'll be using that. I'll be using that all the time, I think, because that's exciting. Fight in the crowd's cool. I think it's great. I think it's a feature that certainly has been missing. It's still a rumor. We don't know if it's going to be coming back yet. It's just an assumption. We're guessing, but I think it's going to be cool if it is back. I think fighting the crowd, it just adds that extra realism to it. Certainly in like a no-holds-barred match, going into the crowd, fighting there, using some different things, makes sense. It's cool. I like it. And, being kind of stuck in that area of the crowd, of the ring area, kind of sucks. And I wouldn't mind being able to go all around the entire arena. I wouldn't mind being able to go backstage and fight there again, but I don't think backstage will be back. But at least they're giving us the crowd. So yes, I'll definitely be using it, and yes, I'm very excited for it. Larry Williams, do you think the WWE will have Shelton Benjamin join American Alpha, or will he expose them due to the greatest tag team gimmick? They are very similar, the American Alpha and the world's greatest tag team, but I don't think he'll expose them. If Charlie Haas was back, then maybe. I would think that'd be a cool feud, but I don't think they're going to bring back Charlie Haas. I don't even know what the hell's going on with him. What his status is. Is he still wrestling? Last time I heard, he was like semi-retired or retired. I don't know. Shelton Benjamin, I don't think will join the American Alpha. I think it'd be cool if he was like a mentor or like a manager or something like that, but I think obviously he'll be back to be that veteran upper mid-carder, work with the younger guys and kind of put them over. John Moynihan, if you were to repackage any tag team to make them better, what team would you pick? You'd have to pick the Ascension, wouldn't you? I think they had a lot of potential, the Ascension. They weren't too bad in NXT. Now they just look like goofballs. Horrible. So I would, without a doubt, repackage the Ascension, try and do something with them, try and salvage them somehow. Otherwise, get rid of them because they suck. But I think there's still something there. They try to make them into these monster guys. I think it's Victor is small, and Connor he's nowhere near big enough to be a monster. So they're just trying to make them these big guys when they really aren't. So they just use them completely wrong. The shoulder pads things are goofy. It sucked. Everything about it sucked. So you could definitely repackage them, try and salvage it there. So they'd have to be the number one team. I wouldn't pick the Shining Stars because I just released them. I wouldn't even bother. Zach Rushing, will you add Shelton Benjamin in your Universe Mode and the Authors of Pain and TM61? Yeah, I think I'll be adding Shelton. No doubt about that. I think it just depends when. If he's back and when he's come back, I don't know when he's come back for a couple of weeks. I will be adding Shelton. You guys know me. I always add everyone that comes back. Just a matter of the right time. Which brand will need him the most? I'll kind of take a look at which brand deserves him. And it'll just be a matter of when the right time that the general managers on each brand and who can sign him and what not. So we'll kind of go from there. But I can tell you now, he's in the plans and expect to see him pop up in the coming months. And the other guys, the other tag teams for NXT, there's a lot of NXT people I probably need to add or debut. So, Authors of Pain and TM61, I've have kind of forgotten about them. So I will try and find some decent wrestlers of them and add them in next time I'm downloading. Thomas Bell has a couple more here for us. What are your thoughts on Roman Reigns going for the US title? Completely forgot about that, but I think it's great. I think, I was actually getting worried that Roman Reigns wouldn't even be on SummerSlam, so they've kind of had a new different direction for him, but I think it's a good matchup. I think the two match up well. I think it's going to be a good contest. I've been complaining over the last couple of months that the US title's really gone downhill because of the lack of star power competing for the US title, so I think it's good to I think it's certainly really good to kind of have these guys, have a Roman Reigns, I should say, against Rusev, because obviously it's a big match, kind of gets a bit more attention to the US title that it certainly needs. I don't think Reigns will beat Rusev. I think Rusev will find a way for a cheap win. I don't think Reigns will get beat clean. I think maybe Lana will get herself involved or do something to help Rusev out, but I definitely think Rusev is keeping the belt. I think this is just something to give Roman Reigns something to do. And once, this whole suspension thing blows over, once the whole Balor and Rollins match is all done with, then they'll start to kind of get Reigns back in the world title picture. But I certainly think this is just something for Reigns to keep him busy and keep him on the show. And his next question is, what is your favorite Royal Rumble of all time? Probably my favorite one, I think, might be the 2001 Royal Rumble, I believe it is. Is it 2001 or is it 2000? The one where it had so many guys you thought could win, like Austin, Kane, Rikishi, so many different guys you thought, oh man, one of these guys could actually win. I can't remember. It was one of those years, but it was a great Rumble. Lots of star power behind it, big names, really, really fun, really exciting. So definitely that Rumble. Brett Storm, XWP, he asks if I'm going to see Shelton Benjamin in Universe Mode again. Yeah, like I said, I think it's just a matter of which brand I'm going to put him on. And another Shelton Benjamin question from Chat GM. With Shelton Benjamin returning, do you think WWE will give him a chance at the WWE title, correcting their wrongs for not giving him a run at the world title when he was in the company years ago? I don't think so. I think he's up there in age. He's 40 years old now. They're focusing on new talent. I think you'll see maybe Shelton Benjamin get an IC title run again, maybe. But I think you'll find he's coming back just to work with the young guys, put on some good matches, and put them over. Simple as that. So I don't think a world title is in Shelton Benjamin's future. It would be a real long shot. I think that'd be very, very, very unlikely. And very odd, I think, to do. If you weren't going to give him the belt back in the day, it'd be very strange to do it now. Before we go today, guys, just want to give a quick shout out to some of our Patreon supporters. You guys can support Let's Talk Tuesdays and Brendan Plays on the Patreon by checking out our Patreon page in the description down below. There's lots of different things there. We're kind of rebuilding the Patreon page. We were doing it like last year, kind of focusing on it there. We're kind of, we were really slack with it, so we're going to try and relaunch it a little bit here. So we still have a few people that are kind of hanging on from last year, so I want to give a shout out to them. Tim Graves, Brett Peterson, and Wahoo World 15. Thanks to you guys for continuing to support our Patreon page, and thanks to everyone that has supported in the past. You guys help keep the lights on, help keep me doing as many videos as I possibly can. Obviously, I'm not a big channel, so, let's be honest, the money isn't that big in what I do, but with the Patreon support, it allows me to keep making more videos and keep focusing more on my channel to try and give you guys as much content as I can. So make sure, if you can, support the Patreon page and pledge over there. But if you can't, just supporting the show and leaving a like on this week's episode will do just fine. Thanks, guys, for listening in to this week's edition of the LTT Podcast. Like I said, leave a like if you haven't already, I should say. And also check out our show on iTunes, Spreaker, Stitcher, wherever you want to listen. Keep supporting the shows as much as you can. Spread the word around. And let me know, like I said, which show was better, Smackdown or Raw this week. Hope you guys enjoyed this week's edition. And maybe next week will probably be a bit earlier than normal. We'll see. I'm going away next Thursday. So, yeah, we don't know where there, but I'll keep you guys up to date. And lots of cool stuff coming up, certainly with Universe Mode, NXT TakeOver coming up real soon this weekend. So make sure you keep an eye out for that. Thanks, guys, for listening in, and I'll see you all next Thursday.